I'd like to welcome you back to another episode about some of the characters from the Bible, and today we're going to be discussing Isaac, Yitzchak, who was the second forefather and Avraham Avinu, Abraham's son. Now, the interesting thing about Yitzchak is that there are many correlations in his life that can be compared to his father, and I think that that would be the best way to describe him, is to see the similarities and the differences. But before we get into that, there is two things that I want to point out to show the kind of person he was as far as his commitment and as far as his holiness and abilities. First of all, when he was younger in life, we know about the binding of Isaac. He was 37 years old. He could have easily overpowered his elderly father, and he allowed himself to be bound and was expecting to be sacrificed, slaughtered, and he made that commitment. He was ready, which didn't end up happening in the end. The second thing is that at the end of his life, he was asked by his sons for blessings, and his blessings came true. So we see he was a man that was incredibly spiritual and had very strong abilities on higher realms. Now, first of all, a difference between Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak, between Abraham and Isaac, is that Abraham was an innovator. He started it all. He rebelled against idols. He proposed this one God concept, and that was what he followed and created a following of his whole life. As opposed to Isaac, who was all about stability. This was nothing new to him. He was raised this way, but he was a link. He was the continuance of what was taught by his father. When Avraham was growing up, it was just about God. He rebelled against his father. He didn't think he was doing the right things, and his complete commitment was to God. Whereas Isaac, for the first time, had to be balanced between his honoring and respect and commitment to his father, as well as his honoring and respect and commitment to God. So that was something new that he brought. When it came to marriage, Abraham sought out Sarah, and when it came to Yitzchak's marriage, his wife was brought to him. And it was an incredible story about how Abraham's slave servant knew how to choose the right person. But all in all, his wife was brought to him. He didn't go out to meet her. As far as his father, he had to have perseverance. His whole life was about fighting and standing up for what he believed in, constantly having challenges, whereas Yitzchak was the first one who had to deal with the politics of being in what was already the norm. Abraham already set up a lifestyle and a certain way of life for his family and followers, and now in the second generation there were different politics that Yitzchak had to deal with, whether with his brother or with his sons, but it became more of something of knowing how to maneuver himself. Basically, Abraham's life was filled with turmoil, and he needed to be motivated from the very beginning. He had belief and faith in something, and that's what got him through his life. Whereas, for the most part, Isaac's life was very peaceful, and what he was fueled by was structure. As I said, he was the link. He had to create this continuance, this system that continued on to his children. And also, a very big difference between Abraham and Isaac is that Abraham's entire life was about traveling and moving around and going from here to there, while Isaac never once left the land of Canaan. He stayed in the same place, despite certain challenges, his entire life. Now, there were some similarities. They both went through a famine. They both had their wife. The king at the time was considering to kidnap the wife or to take for his own. They both had incredible wealth. Obviously, Isaac had wealth as a result of his father, but it shows very clearly in the Bible that he had tremendous success and wealth on his own. And finally, as I said in the episode on Abraham, Isaac also dealt with a world leader and spoke very confidently despite his humility. So I think this gives a little bit of insight into one of the more mysterious, less understood figures in the Bible, Isaac. Thank you very much for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you and take care.